It's been a while since I've done one of these videos at home. I think the last one that I did, or there was a couple that I did at home. It was shortly after I took the job in the first place. I think there was one on like Blake Snell signing with the Dodgers, Brandon Crawford's retirement. But pretty much since the season started, I've done pretty much all of these at home. But the lighting situation at Oracle Park wasn't exactly the greatest today, just clearly overcast everywhere, and it was a long day at the ballpark anyway, so decided to drive home, kind of process everything that had happened over the course of the last 2 days. I didn't do a video yesterday, and then hop on here and try to compartmentalize everything, kind of make sense of everything, so to say. And the big news, of course, is that the Giants have traded Tyler Rogers to the New York Mets in exchange for 3 players, those being right-hander Jose Butto, right-hander Blade Tidwell, as well as outfielder Drew Gilbert. Now, to briefly go over those 3, because we will not spend the majority of this video going over those 3. Jose Butto has pitched parts of 4 Major League seasons with the New York Mets. He figures to slide into the bullpen with Rogers no longer being in the mix. Tidwell, who's currently on the 40-man roster, he made his Major League debut earlier this season, has as many as 6 or 7 pitches, depending on how you evaluate his curveball. And Drew Gilbert has yet to make his Major League debut. And in talking with a team source about those 2 in particular, Tidwell and Gilbert, the team source told me that they envision Tidwell as a legitimate starter, while the team is pretty infatuated with Gilbert's kind of complete package skill set, particularly on the defensive end of things. So that will be the extent. And also, in order to make room on the 40-man roster for Butto and Tidwell, Sean Jelly has been designated for assignment. So that will kind of be the extent of the analysis of those 3 players, and maybe we'll make more time later down the line as the trade deadline comes and goes. But this was a move, or this was the type of move, rather, that a month ago, 3 weeks ago, honestly, even 2 weeks ago, it didn't seem that the Giants were going to make. It did seem that leading into the trade deadline, and the trade deadline, of course, is tomorrow at 3 p.m. I'm currently recording at 8:09 p.m. on Wednesday. It did seem that leading into the trade deadline, all signs pointed to the Giants being buyers, not sellers, and that made a lot of sense given pretty much how things have gone since Buster Posey took over as the Giants' president of baseball operations. The signing of Willy Adames was a clear win-now move. Teams just don't give out 7-year, $182 million contracts with the intention of winning later. They do so with the intention of winning now. Even the extension of Matt Chapman last September can be seen as a win-now move. And then the acquisition of Rafael Devers was the ultimate win-now move. When you're acquiring a 3-time All-Star, when you're acquiring a 2-time Silver Slugger, and when you're taking on more than $250 worth of salary over the course of the 8.5 seasons he had remaining on the contract, that is a very clear indication that the San Francisco Giants had all intentions of winning now and winning in the year 2025. And if you look at the current roster of the Giants, they are filled with win-now players. Devers, Chapman, Adames, Jung-Hoo Lee, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray. This is a roster, again, that was built with the intention of winning and competing in the year 2025. And it still is very possible that the Giants do make the playoffs this year. But the fact of the matter is, right now, they're 54-55. They have lost 12 of the last 14 games going back to the second half. They have now lost 6 consecutive games after being swept by the Pittsburgh Pirates, coming after they were swept by the New York Mets. They are currently 5 games back of the final wildcard spot. And even before they lost today's game, they sat at 500 for the first time since the second game of the season. And it's important to provide all of that context because it makes the move that they made today make a little more sense. And that was the decision to trade longtime reliever Tyler Rogers to the New York Mets, and kind of given the intricacies of the schedule, now they will have an opportunity to face him as early as potentially Friday. And given the fact that Rogers leads the league, or leads all of baseball in appearances since the year 2020, there is a very strong possibility that he will face them at some point this weekend. To kind of go over what Rogers has accomplished in a Giants uniform, he's made 392 appearances overall, 375 since 2020 in particular. Those are the most in baseball over the course of that time span. 2.79 ERA over 7 innings. He had a 1.80 ERA this season. There was a debate as to whether he should have been an all-star this season. A lot of Giants, including manager Bob Melvin agreed that he should have been an all-star, and there was the whole conversation surrounding Jacob Mizorowski and him making over the 5 starts, but we don't need to get into that. It is interesting, and I'm not even sure that's the right word to use, the right adjective to use, that the final appearance that Rodgers made in a Giants uniform was a very weird play where, as I mentioned in the story yesterday, runners on first and second, Ke'Bryan Hayes hits a grounder to second base. Casey Schmidt pivots his feet like he's going to throw to second, ends up throwing to first. Rodgers is running over to cover the bag at first, doesn't see the throw coming at all, and it kind of whizzes past him and actually deflects off Hayes. And that sets the table for the Pirates to score 2 runs in the top of the 8th inning, take the lead over Rodgers, and for the Giants to ultimately lose that game, which was their 5th loss in a row at the time, and at the time, it dropped them to 54-54. Again, the first time that they had had a 500 record since the second game of the season. And again, in the larger context of this season, it didn't seem like the Giants were trending to making a move like this. But given how poorly this team has performed over the last couple of weeks, given how they're sliding, given how they continue to fall further and further out of contention, and again, it's not even August yet. There still is a lot of baseball left to be played. There are still 2 months left in the season. They have roughly 50-something games left, which is a lot of opportunities to make up time. But given how poorly that they have played for an extended period of time now. They played sub 500 ball going back to May, and again, this last stretch has been especially rough, and that's putting it very lightly. Posey and the front office made the decision to trade Rodgers. This is not an addition. Even with bringing back Buto, this is not necessarily a one-for-one. This is a clear subtraction, given how well that Rodgers has pitched for this Giants team over the course of his tenure here, and does set the tone for there to potentially be more trades ahead of Thursday's trade deadline again at 3 p.m. And on a day like today, I think it's especially worth diving into some of the comments that some of the Giants made following the 2-1 loss, because there's definitely a bit of a variance in tone depending on which Giant was speaking. We had the opportunity to talk with Matt Chapman. His quote was, "We've lost 6 in a row and we haven't given Buster Posey and the front office any reason to add. We kind of did it to ourselves. It sucks. Obviously, you can tell that everyone's pretty upset. It's not how I saw this thing going." Logan Webb talked as well, of course. He was today's starter. He went 5 2/3 innings, allowed just 1 run, struck out 11. And when he was asked kind of what's gone wrong with this team in particular, he said, "We have a great group of guys," some ellipses. "We just haven't put it together. It's not like we're trying to go out there and looks like expletive. It's a hard game. I know that's not going to be a popular answer, but it's just not good right now. We all know that. You feel it. You can see it in the clubhouse. You guys are all in here right now. It's not fun to be in here, but the only thing you can do is show up on Friday and beat the Mets." Of all the players who spoke, the one who had the most optimistic tone was Mike Yastrzemski. Yastrzemski, of course, being someone who's been around the game his entire life, kind of understands the ebbs and flow that are going to go on over the course of a season. This isn't to say that Chapman and Webb don't, but Yastrzemski pointed out that, again, there are roughly 2 months left in the season. He reminded reporters that crazier things have happened, and again, there's roughly 50 games left in the season. He noted that Rodgers was a big piece, but he did say that it's not like the whole team has been dismantled just yet. And the one quote to mention here in particular was, he said, "I don't think there's a guy in this room that's quit on the season, and I don't think they're going to. Regardless of what happens, I think the effort and care level is still going to be there, even if the results are not. I don't think we've stopped believing. We've had a really rough start to the second half, but I still believe in this team." Manager Bob Melvin also said, "We still have a really good roster, so our expectations shouldn't change. The expectation, again, to go to the playoffs and ultimately compete for a World Series title." But on the flip side of all this, if the Giants are trading Rodgers, who there's universal agreement that he's one of the best bullpen arms that this team has, kind of right there in the mix with Camilo Doval and Randy Rodriguez and Eric Miller, all of those sorts, if the Giants are trading one of their best relievers now, it potentially sets the tone for what's going to happen over the course of the next 15 or so hours. Chapman in particular, when he was asked about the upcoming deadline, said, "I don't know what to expect, but when you trade one of your best arms in the bullpen, it kind of shows where we're headed." And if where the Giants are headed is complete sell mode, or if not complete sell mode, something close to it, there are a couple names that do stand out as far as guys that could potentially be traded over the course of, again, the next 15 or so hours, whatever it might be specifically. One that jumps out is Justin Verlander, who, as we've talked about repeatedly, only has one win to show for the 18 starts that he's made in a Giants uniform. And especially given the larger context of him chasing 300 career wins, there's definitely been a lot of frustrating nights where he certainly does his part to put the team in a position to win, to put himself in position to get a win, and whether it's been a cold offensive night or bullpen blowups, just again only has the one win to show for it. It would make a lot of sense for, again, if the Giants are going to trade Rodgers, to trade Duvall as well. And given the fact that the Giants were able to get a majorly competent reliever as well as two prospects in the top 15 of the Mets organization, given that Duvall, or rather to kind of back up a little bit, given the fact that Rodgers is an expiring contract, given the fact that he's an upcoming free agent, while Duvall, he's been an all-star, he has 2.5 years of team control remaining. This was his first year of arbitration. He's set to hit arbitration 2 more times. Given all of that context, it wouldn't be shocking to imagine that if the Giants were to trade Duvall, they would be able to get a package even more lucrative than what they got for Rodgers. That's not a guarantee, but given that he's had the bounce back this season, given how he has been a one-time All-Star, given that the stuff is still incredibly good, and given that Rodgers may have potentially set the market, it would not be a shock if the Giants were able to get a significant haul. Maybe not necessarily anything crazy, but get something or get a package that is pretty significant if they were to go that route. And, as far as other expiring contracts, Wilmer Flores is going to be a free agent. Dominic Smith is going to be a free agent. Mike Yastrzemski is going to be a free agent as well. So we're kind of in wait-and-see mode with the Giants to see exactly how they go about this. Again, they are still not even hypothetically, they are still mathematically well within the possibility of taking over one of the wild card spots. Crazy things have happened, not to go too far back, but for those of you who remember the 2010 season, they had a pretty bad August and then just ended up flipping that switch in September and winning the division when not a lot of people thought they could win the division. But of course, that's the very glass half full way of looking at what's unfolding right now. The 2010 Giants and even the 2012, 2014, given the circumstances, given how much money that they've invested in this team, given the expectations that they have had of making the playoffs for the entirety of this season, this is just an absolutely brutal, and again, that's putting it very lightly, this is just an absolutely brutal stretch, and the timing of it could not have been worse as to picking a direction as to where this team is going to go.